welcome to Undercommon Taste. This is a podcast where we create and discuss homebrew content for tabletop RPGs.
Can I interest you in a little bit of everything all of the time? Because homogeny is a tragedy, and dump stats are a crime.
I'm Ian Woodworth. I'm joined by my co-host James Daly, and today we have special guest with us, Mike Daniels from 19 Hiss the Dragon. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Ian, James. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Yeah, and it's Daniel, no S.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm only
Daniel.
a little pedantic about it. Yeah, only a little bit.
Sorry, God.
He's a singular, not a plural.
Exactly. I am one entity.
That's just quitter talk.
I know, seriously, right?
No, it's just that I've become one with the universe, so there is only Daniel, not Daniels.
Okay. So, with Mike Daniel from 19 Hiss the Dragon, we are doing a crossover project, us here at Undercommon Taste and Mike over at 19 Hiss the Dragon. So we will be doing a second episode that is going to be airing this coming Saturday over on his podcast. So you better go and check that out too when we get done.
Gaze upon it. Gaze upon the dragon.
And despair.
Oh my. Anyway.
Anyway.
Get ready with those fear saves.
We are definitely in odd form tonight, boys and girls. So, like I said, just buckle in. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, we didn't plan anything at all.
Wait, you guys plan things?
Sometimes.
There's usually at least an outline, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically we do have an outline. We at least have a topic.
That's a good start, right?
That is a good start,
framework.
Yeah. So our topic that we're going to be discussing and working through is multiclassing. It is something that we haven't really touched on so far in our podcast, and we're 80 episodes in at this point. And it is a thing that a lot of players do, but it can be really complicated and confusing if you get beyond, say, just a 1 or 2 level dip.
You're making this sound like the birds and the bees talk with the parents. It's totally natural. It's okay. It's just,
everybody does it.
When two classes really love each other.
Sometimes they just kind of think they like each other, in fact. So
sometimes they just want to rub up just a little bit, just a little closer than normal.
And then you wake up with a pact, and
yeah, well, I mean that's a whole warlock thing, and that involves consent and probably some paperwork, and that's just jumping way off a cliff.
Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into this before we completely devolve. So actually, before we get too far into this, we should probably let Mike explain who he is and what he's doing here.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just a fly on the wall. It's okay.
So Mike, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Mike Daniel. I host the podcast 19 Hits the Dragon. Kind of similar to Undercommon Tastes, where I shoot the breeze with tabletop RPG creators and so forth. And while we're recording this, we're getting ready to launch our first episode for the season, but typically have new episodes every other week. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search 19 Hits the Dragon or follow me on Twitter at 19 Hits the Dragon. And chatting with the guys here at Undercommon Taste, and we kind of do similar things. And, like multiclassing, sometimes you want two things that they don't necessarily go together inherently, but you can find some nice ways to mix things up as you're working together with it, right? So we wanted to do a little bit of our own multiclassing. So that's why I'm here.
Perfect. Yeah. I do want to say 19 Hits the Dragon actually started about the same time we did. So, and we've had some discussions back and forth. So this is actually a podcast that's been a long time in coming. We looked forward to trying to get schedules and the stars to line up. So I'm really glad you finally made it.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to hang out together as well. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I know when I was doing season 2, we had touched base and tried to make things work, and then schedules just kind of got away from us both. And now here we are. So yep. I'm excited.
We're making this happen, damn it.
Whether it wants to or not.
We will
this collaboration has no choice.
Yeah, this is the Adventure Time episode where Finn makes the goose and the fox kiss. This is going to be unpleasant for everyone involved. No one will be happy.
Wait, am I the goose or the fox? I'm confused.
Well, in this particular case, since you are the non-entity, you're probably Finn.
Actually, okay, I'm cool with that. I actually have a really quick costume that I can throw together to be Finn the human. So yeah, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so have you got your pictures ready, Ian?
I have my diagrams with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back. And my 27 8x10 color glossy pictures.
Oh my. Okay, so multiclassing, how do we do it?
Yeah, multiclassing, how do we do it? So, if you want a quick visual medium way to figure this out, Matt Mercer actually did a wonderful little video. It's like 8 minutes long in their Handbook or Helper series that they made like 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
God, was that 5 years ago?
It was like 2018, 2017, 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. It may have been 2019, but it was during it was either during campaign 1 or the early days of campaign 2. So yeah, it's been a hot minute.
I guess it has. All right.
And it's also gotten like 17 million views. So a lot of people have gone to reference it. And
chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you've seen that video. But if not, go check it out.
I've actually not seen it. So, I mean, there we go. I mean, I guess I'm the outlier.
I went and watched it just to refresh before this episode because
I'm looking at books like an idiot. What the hell?
I know, right?
Reading?
How dare you, sir?
Pshaw. So uncivilized.
We're here to roll dice, not read books. So, in general, the steps that it goes into is you gain a level, you check to make sure that you meet the minimum ability score requirements for your current class and the class you want to multiclass into. And if you do, you take a level in that class. It's basically that simple. It's when you get into certain different kinds of classes that it gets complicated. Mainly when you get into classes where magic is involved.
Yeah, magic tends to flub everything up because magic. And so really multiclassing is kind of straightforward. So that's the how. Level up, check your stats, multiclass, ta-da. Again, we'll get into some of the mechanics. The reasoning behind multiclass, I mean, there's a lot behind that too, and we will definitely delve into that. But whether you just want more utility or you want more RP options, those are going to be your two primary reasons to multiclass as well.
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot of really great mechanical reasons to multiclass, get new abilities, get different skills, gain access to features.
Eldritch Blast!
Like Eldritch Blast that you wouldn't have with the class you had been in previously. There are a lot of really broken builds, so to speak, that you can make with multi-class characters, which I think we'll get to talking about at some point here. So yeah, there are a ton of reasons why you would want to multi-class, right? So whether that's for those reasons that we talked about, there are narrative reasons, like maybe you have a character archetype that you're going for and one base class doesn't fit the bill for you. So
now I will say with 5th edition, they have really streamlined how to multiclass. You start going back to 3rd and 2nd edition, and then you had to start balancing like how much XP, because you'd only get like half your XP awards. You had to make sure that you had a favored type of multiclass. So certain races had a favored multiclass, or where there wasn't an XP penalty or there was an extra XP penalty. And if you like playing those older editions, multiclassing was a beast. And like I said, now 5th edition, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm taking extra classes here, here, here. Look at me, I'm everybody.
Was it Puffin Forest who has the video about Absurd, the character that is one level of every class?
I would totally do that.
I've had a fellow player that has definitely threatened to do that in my Monday night game that I play in. He is pretty notorious for multiclassing his characters. So we always kind of give him shit about, oh, is this finally going to be the time that you make the complete hybrid and get all of the classes? It's a little difficult to do, though. You got to have some pretty balanced stats across the board to be able to do that, right? So
yeah, I think you have to have a 13 in everything but con.
Is it 13 or 15?
13.
13. Okay.
And if you ever want to know what your class abilities are for multiclassing, there's a handy dandy chart on page 163 of the Player's Handbook.
Because everybody reads the Player's Handbook.
I actually happen to have a physical book in my hands right now.
Ooh,
Rarity
snazzy.
of all rarities.
Mine is in this stack of physical books that is next to me because I've been working on stuff. My office is not organized at the moment.
So, trying to corral some kittens here. When we do multiclass, what aspects or what do we get? I mean, what actually do you get from multiclassing?
So the first thing that you're going to get is you're going to get a new hit die based on your new class. Meaning that if you're staying in a class that has the same hit die, like going from fighter to paladin or fighter to ranger or, wizard to warlock. Wait, no, warlocks a D8? I can't remember.
Warlocks are
Warlocks are
D8, I believe.
D8. Wizards are D6s now.
Okay, so cleric to warlock. There we go.
Right.
There's a couple of D8s. If you're keeping the same size hit die, then it just another die drops into your pool. But if you're multiclassing into a class that has a different hit die, like say starting off as a fighter and then taking a level in barbarian, now you're getting a D12 hit die into your pool. And so you're going to have, let's say you're a 4th level fighter, 4D10 and 1D12. And you're going to be able to spend that D12 hit die whenever you're taking a short rest and recovering hit points. But you have to keep it separate from the D10s. You have to keep track of them separately.
That's probably one of the few tricky things, particularly if you are doing characters that do have the different hit die, is keeping track of which hit die you're using for various things. But it's not too cumbersome, but it is something to keep in mind.
And then next thing you get is most armor and weapon proficiencies. There are no multi-classes where taking the new class will give you a heavy armor proficiency. However, there are certain cleric domains that give you heavy armor proficiency at first level.
Yes, Tempest Cleric among them.
Well, actually, clerics don't get heavy armor across the class at first level. Only certain domains do.
Yes.
Right.
But there is a handy dandy table on page 164 that shows you exactly what you get. The things that you don't end up getting, you don't get max hit points for first level because that is only for first level characters, not for first level in a class. You don't get the new class's saving throw proficiencies. You don't get extra uses of class-specific mechanics like the cleric or paladin's channel divinity or the extra attack feature. You don't get to stack unarmored defense. That one is specifically listed. So you can't
Someone tried. That means someone really tried.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh,
definitely in the playtesting, someone was like, monk and barbarian multi-class, and no one's going to hit me.
So I'm going to have an unarmored defense of 25 AC. I'm going to get 10 plus 5 dex, plus 5 con, plus 5 wisdom. I'm just going to min-max my character. I don't need strength, intelligence, charisma.
And I went ahead and just got the one level in cleric so I could have Shield of Faith in there anyway. So,
And you don't get any of the first level skill or tool or language proficiencies unless the chart on page 164 tells you otherwise.
Basically, there are 3 classes that you'll get some skill or tool proficiencies, and that's the Bard, the Ranger, and the Rogue.
Yep.
The Skill Monkey classes.
Although Artificer might also. I don't know because Artificer came out in Tasha's.
That might be something to check
out. But yeah.
Well, gotcha.
If you're a person of culture, it came out in the Eberron book.
Fair enough. Though, I mean, getting some proficiency with Rangers as a multi-class, I can kind of see because, again, the Rangers really did not get a whole lot of love in 5th edition. So, I mean,
unfortunately.
Yeah, the Ranger...
It's gotten, it's had kind of a glow up over time.
It has. Tasha's fixed a lot of things with the Ranger.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was in Unearthed Arcana rewrites for ages. So
yeah, it really was. And I'm glad that they did the spirit for animal companions.
Yeah.
So they have an animal companion that actually kind of sort of levels with you.
Yeah, that does help a lot.
Because, once you get to a higher level, once you get to like a 12th level character, that challenge rating 2 beast companion that you've got ain't gonna cut it.
They're just gonna die.
Right.
They're just gonna die.
I really don't like what they did with Favored Enemy. Yeah, there's a lot of wonkiness, but that is a different conversation for a different day.
Yes. That is for a conversation on Rangers.
So if you're playing a Ranger, you might want to multi-class into other classes that get better features.
And get a good character to play.
Multiclass into assassin rogue. Wink, wink.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be a great one.
That's a surprise tool that will help us later.
So yeah, again, checking that chart, kind of seeing what you get. And again, this kind of comes into a big, at least it's an issue I have when I play at a table. And I generally discuss this if I'm going to multi-class or I'm going to do something along these lines. I do discuss with my DM and the other players at the character. So if I want a multi-class, it comes through to, does the player want me to play a character RP wise, or are they wanting me to min max? Because again, it does have a feeling of how the table runs. I would have a character and they might multi-class one way for roleplay reasons and how I feel developing the character or where I think the character should go. And that might not be mechanically as sound or as advantageous as it would be to multi-class a different direction. So again, if I have a ranger, it might make sense mechanically for bigger die to multi-class as, say, an assassin versus maybe multi-classing as a druid because my ranger's going to be in the woods and maybe they're bonding more to nature with their roleplay. And that is something to consider as you build your character, is which direction you do want to go with that.
Now we come to the complicated part. Multiclassing with caster levels. Multiclassing with caster levels is complicated.
Yeah.
Because you have to determine what your effective caster level is. Which means that if you are a full caster, so bard, cleric, druid, sorcerer, wizard, your effective caster level is whatever your levels in those classes happen to be. So if you start off as a cleric and you multi-class into sorcerer, it stays the same. You could have 3 levels of cleric, 1 level of sorcerer, you're a 4th level caster. You're going to have a spell slot progression of a 4th level character. If one isn't a caster at all, so let's say you start off as a druid and then you multi-class into monk, it's the same because then your effective caster level is however many levels you have in druid. But then once you start mixing and matching, it gets tricky because then you have half casters. So that's the ranger, the paladin, the artificer, where you have to take your levels in that class, divide it by 2, round it down, and add that to your full caster levels to figure out what your effective caster level is. And then you have even more complicated third casters, which are your Arcane Trickster and your Eldritch Knight.
Right. So the quick and dirty way, again, just take your additional level and divide it by 2 if you're not a full caster or a non-caster. So again, if you're the artificer or is it the druid? Druid's full caster? Nope, yeah,
Druid's a full caster. Artificer is a half caster.
Artificer Ranger is half caster? Paladin?
Yeah, Artificer, Ranger, Paladin, yes.
So you'll basically need 2 levels to gain the spell slots you'd get for your caster level in general.
Or, if you want to be sneaky about it, I made a handy-dandy table on our using spell points instead of spell slots write-up that we put up on Patreon for free, and you can go and reference that real quick because
and that is
I did the math for you.
That is a huge help.
Yeah, listeners, if this is sounding complicated to you, this is the reason why I don't multi-class casters unless one of them is a warlock.
Yes, because
multi-classing with a warlock is super easy. All you do is just add your warlock slots on top of what you have from your other caster class.
Because warlocks have pact magic, and pact magic is an entirely separate little pool of spell slots that you deal with all by themselves.
Right.
Warlocks break all the rules. So
they really do. Warlock is the multi-classing class. I mean, everybody can hop a level or 5 of a warlock. It fits with just about everything. It's really easy to throw in some roleplay reasons. Mechanics. I mean, oh no, I get a free Eldritch Blast. I have a free cantrip that can do a surprising amount of damage whenever I want. Super easy to work into any class. Roleplay, mechanics, just if you want the multi-class, Warlock's where you go.
What, 4 1d10 rays that deal force damage?
No, who wants that?
Yes, please.
With 120-foot range?
If you take an extra level, you can turn that into 200-foot range with the Eldritch Spear.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or basically make it chain.
And then you can double it again if you take Spell Sniper.
Yeah,
there you go.
Warlocks might be a little broken. I like them, but they're a little broken.
Slightly broken.
I still think that Eldritch Blast should be a class feature and not a cantrip, but that is a conversation for when we're talking about warlocks and not multi-classing.
Fair enough.
Coming through, again, talking about multi-classing, we dug up some kind of cryptic stuff from way back when.
Yeah, so back in, I think it was primarily in 3rd edition. I'm not finding a whole lot of it outside of 3rd edition, but it may have been a big thing in 2nd edition, and because I was primarily pre-internet, not a whole lot of that's made it out.
Right.
But there was a thing called a Gestalt class, where it was typically done in parties where you had a small number of players, so you only had like 2 or 3 players. And what these characters are, they are 2 classes simultaneously. So you would pick 2 classes, say a fighter and a wizard, and a 3rd level Gestalt character would be a 3rd level fighter and a 3rd level wizard. And whenever one class had a class feature that the other class didn't, they just flat out got that class feature. And when they had class features that clashed, like hit dice, they would take whichever one was better. So like in our example of a fighter wizard, they would have a D10 hit die. They would have all their weapon proficiencies. They would have all their armor proficiencies, but they would also have all of the spell slots that the wizard had.
Right. And again, these were for smaller parties. These were, again, if you had your DM and then 1 or 2 other players, or if you were just wanting to run basically like a super overpowered party. Again, kind of clunky, kind of a weird thing. It worked with some 3rd edition things. This is definitely something that would be discussed at a session 0 with your DM, with your other players, because if you're doing this from the start.
And this is probably something that your DM is going to come to you and say, hey, I have this idea.
Right.
I want to run this game. Are you interested?
And then when you say, yes, I want to do crazy fun stuff.
Yeah, I think if most players brought this to their DM, the DM's going to look at them like they have, 3 heads. Like, what the hell are you trying to pull right here?
Right.
Like, not something that most DMs are going to be okay with their player bringing to them, unless they're into wacky stuff like I am. So
wacky stuff, or I could see a time like if you're in the middle of a campaign and then suddenly you had players life or whatever happens and they permanently have to drop out, and so you're trying to maintain that CR level of the campaign. This might be a way to kind of cover that gap a little bit without the DM jumping through too many hoops as well.
True.
And it also has to be something where all of the players at the table have to be doing it. You can't have one Gestalt player and 3 normal PCs.
Look at me,
Right.
Emerald and Dirk Squarejaw.
So just as an example, if we were to do this in 5th edition, a 1st level fighter wizard. So a 1st level character that is 1 level of fighter, 1 level of wizard.
We'll call him a fizzard.
We'll call him a fizzard. He would get a D10 hit die from the fighter. And so he would start with 10 plus con mod hit points at 1st level. He would get his 2nd wind at 1st level. They would get spellcasting and arcane recovery along with the wizard's number of cantrips and spell slots at 1st level. They'd get all the fighters' weapon and armor proficiencies. They would gain proficiency with all of the saving throws that both classes have. So they would gain proficiency with strength and con from fighter, and proficiency with intelligence and wisdom from wizard.
Everything but Dex.
Everything but Dex and charisma.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they would still only get 2 starting skill proficiencies because both the fighter and the wizard have 2 skills that they can choose. However, you would get to choose from both classes' class skill list.
Okay.
So you can pick from the ones that the fighter could be proficient in or the ones that the wizard could be proficient in. You get that whole expanded list to choose from.
Right.
And that would be your 1st level character.
Yeah. And then your 2nd level, again, you just level up both the same way. So whichever one had the higher hit die, you're taking that. Where things matched, you're just getting a smattering of both. But in this case, it would really kind of kick in when you hit 3rd level and you start getting those archetype features, because you're going to start stacking those as well. So again, it can get a little clumsy.
Well, the wizard gets their school at 2nd level.
And then the fighters get their type
Their
at
martial
3rd.
archetype at 3rd, yeah.
3rd. So these would start coming in as well. And again, at that point, it can get a little clumsy, but really you're just running 2 characters meshed into one.
Yeah, 2 characters in one body. It's a Freaky Friday sort of situation.
Oh, that'd be kind of fun to do. And then you had to do a whole split personality type thing. Anyway, that's...
Yeah, I was actually thinking a moment ago, if you had, if you were going for a character that had dissociative identity disorder, or what used to be called multiple personality disorder. this would be an interesting way to be able to play that, because you would have access to all of the features for the most part, or, kind of the most powerful features. So
yeah, I like that. And you'd have to roll to see who you're playing after each rest, maybe after each long rest.
make
That would
a
be
wisdom saving throw to stay as the fighter or whatever.
Yeah, that would be a very interesting character to play.
All of your other party members learn a trigger phrase so that when necessary, they can forcibly switch your personality.
So we're playing the Winter Soldier now?
I was actually going to say, now I know how to build Moon Knight. So
Right.
Yes.
No, that's awesome. I love it. Oh, I absolutely love that. No, that's perfect.
Dracula, you nerd, I know you're in here.
Where's my money?
Where's my money?
No, I love that. No, that would be a perfect way. And again, it would take a lot of discussing with your DM and the players at the table, but that would be a great way to bring one of the Gestalt characters to a 5th edition table. Yeah. Well, yeah, we discovered something new. I like it.
And if you wanted to be absolutely bonkers,
oh, yes, please.
You can multi-class a Gestalt character.
Oh my god.
Whoa, going a little too wild there, guys.
What you do is you have to pick which side of the Gestalt you're gonna multi-class. And you can do it to both. So you could technically be 4 classes at the same time.
That would take so much accounting. Oh my god. Yes. See, as a DM, that's where I start throwing dice at the players. Just, bad. Hit them with a little spray bottle.
Stop. The spray bottle.
Yes. Because technically, according to the 3rd edition rules, if you were to take more than one caster class in your Gestalt, let's say that you were a wizard cleric.
Okay.
You would have the full spell slots of the cleric and the full spell slots of the wizard. Personally, I think that's a bit much.
Yeah.
I don't think that a 20th level Gestalt wizard cleric should have 2 9th level, 2 8th level, 4 7th level, 4 6th level spells a day.
Yeah.
That just seems a little bit much.
That's a lot.
You multi-class both. I'd even go maybe an 18th or 19th on both, and then multi-class with Sorcerer on both of them, so you can throw in meta magic on top of everything else.
Yeah, you could do that. But personally, if I were to bring this into 5th edition, I would still count it as the effective caster level.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And just have one block of spell slots.
Well, I think, I mean, per the way we described it at the beginning, that would be the thing they get together. So that would be like the matching, like where the fighter warrior only gets 2 proficiencies because they both have 2. They should both only have that caster level because they match together.
Slots, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if that's not hard written, I would DM rule that. And again, throw dice at my players.
Yeah. And so if you were to multi-class, you would use the class with the most spell casting to determine your effective caster level. So
yes,
a fighter wizard would be a full caster because wizard. A paladin cleric would be a full caster because cleric. But a rogue ranger would be a half caster because rogue isn't a caster class and ranger is a half caster class.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
And then you get to a point where if you're multi-classing one side and not the other, do you end up having a possibility of like a 3/4 caster?
Again, that gets into too much counting and I start throwing dice.
Yeah.
Which is my answer to just about anything right now. I'm just going to start chucking dice at people.
Because, I mean, if you were to take your cleric wizard and you were to multi-class the cleric side into paladin and multi-class the wizard side into artificer,
I would at that point
my
make
brain
it a
just
split.
broke, so
Right.
I don't know how to respond to that one.
At that point, like I said, I would depend on which side they were. Yeah, don't do that, boys and girls. Just don't.
I'm kind of disappointed that I brought that up before I got down to that point in my notes, because I had the line, but what if you wanted to go totally cuckoo bananas?
I like cuckoo bananas, but yes.
Can you multi-class with a Gestalt character? You bet your pants you can.
I'm all in. There's my pants. Wink, wink. I
So
think people fold just so I can get my pants back. No, just take them back.
We're done here.
Good night, everybody.
You all started it. Again, it's going to be that kind of night. But yeah, so again, these Gestalt things, they do require a lot more in the way of accounting. I like the concept we came up with, the dissociative identity disorder. That's really good. Again, you want to run maybe, like I said, a pre-made campaign, like from the books or something, and you don't have the people at the table. Or if you had people at the table and some of them had to leave, this is a good way, again, to kind of fill that power level gap so the players can still enjoy the story and the game without, again, jumping through too many hoops or changing too many things. So there could be a time and place in 5th edition for this, but again, kind of rare. Don't multi-class 4 different ways, please. Just don't.
Please do not.
But you don't want to have a 5th level fighter, 5th level ranger, 5th level druid, 5th level wizard?
I do. I don't want to DM that.
Yeah, planning for that seems like a nightmare for sure.
Yes.
I mean, you would have a 10d10 full caster that can do natural and arcane magic and wild shape and do all of those things.
Again, I would love to see the story for that character. I don't want to DM it. I'll let you do that.
Okay, so that craziness aside,
Back to something a little more normal.
a little more normal and a little more homebrew, because this is something that I've been thinking about for a good long while. What if we were to take that general concept and make it work within a class?
Okay.
Okay.
So where you're gestalting archetypes within a class as opposed to gestalting classes. And I don't know if I may be verbing the noun in an inappropriate way, but
A little bit, but it's fine. No one really knows what Gestalt means anyway, so we can decide right here and now what it means for us. So
yeah, no one who hasn't taken philosophy courses where they talked about German philosophers knows what Gestalt is. It's like zeitgeist. You recognize the word, but you never quite understand what it means.
Right.
well, yeah, I mean, Gestalt is just one of the villains from Final Fantasy VI, right?
I don't know. I have an issue whenever I try to play Final Fantasy VI. Whatever device or machine I have it on randomly crashes and dies.
Dude, that has happened to me too.
Either
That
like
happened
I've
on PlayStation 3 twice when I tried to get through Final Fantasy
the game
VI.
is cursed.
Like, it's awful.
the main boss, he always wins.
To finish it.
But anyway, rabbit trails.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't get off topic ever.
No.
Nope, I don't. I mean, definitely doesn't happen over at 19 Hits the Dragon either. So it's
Yeah,
what are we
that's
talking
great.
about? What do you
It's
mean?
great. So the concept that I have come up with is called a chimeric class,
Okay.
where you stay in the same class and you can go 1 to 20 in that class, but you get to cherry pick archetype bonuses.
Okay.
You've got my attention.
So the example that I've come up with is for a fighter. And let's say that you hit 3rd level and you take the bait that is improved critical on the champion archetype.
Of course.
Okay.
And then you get to level 7 and you realize that the 7th level ability is kind of shite.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Some of these you get midway and they become very underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this like back in episode 3.
Right.
So
We're still bitter.
we're still a little bit bitter about this. But you're looking in the book, and right next to the champion is the battle master. And you get to see all of the cool things that they get to do as a battle master with their combat maneuvers and their superiority dice and all of that fun stuff. So at 7th level, instead of taking the 7th level martial archetype ability that you get from the champion, you get to pick the 3rd level martial archetype feature from the battle master. And so now you are multiclassing within the class, multi-archetyping, if you will, champion battle master. So you get your superiority dice, you get your combat maneuvers, and you get your improved critical.
See, I like that. Again, would take quite a bit of, not quite a bit, but it would definitely take some conversations with your DM because you do want to keep track of which abilities you are getting and when. But I don't really see an issue with this otherwise.
So the way that it would work is you would get an ability whenever your class schedule says you get an archetype ability.
Correct.
And you have to get one where you have already taken the previous ability in that archetype.
Right.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, because I was just thinking, why would it be the 3rd level Battle Master ability and not the 7th level one, since you're at 7th level. But I like the idea of like you have to have the first one first before you can take the next one.
I mean, this really starts feeling kind of like the skill trees in Diablo 2 or WoW, which I love. And I am still bitter when they parsed them back to skill stumps. Still bitter about that. So yeah, I love that kind of mix and match. You can kind of personalize your characters. I love anything that lets you personalize or make your characters adaptive or unique. So I am really okay with this.
All right, so we still have this fighter. They get to level 10, where they're going to be getting their next ability. And you've been looking ahead a little bit in the Battle Master. You're already locked out of the 18th level ability, which improves your superiority die from a D10 to a D12.
Okay.
And you're looking, and you're not really all that interested in the other abilities that you get. You don't really care that you can spend a minute observing a creature to figure out, whether it is better than you, the same as you, or worse than you on certain aspects, armor class and strength score and all of that nonsense. You don't really care about that. You don't care about getting a superiority die if you start combat without any superiority dice, because let's be real here. Have any of us actually been in a game with 5 to 6 encounters a day?
No.
Usually it's like 2, 3 top.
Yeah, you regain your superiority dice on a short rest. There is no reason to take that ability if you don't need to.
Right.
But now you've turned that page so you can see the second page of the Battle Master stuff, and now you see the Eldritch Knight.
Oh, he's so shiny.
And he's so shiny with his spell casting and stuff. So at 10th level, instead of taking the 7th level ability in Champion or the 7th level ability in Battle Master, you take the 3rd level ability in Eldritch Knight. Because it's all within the same class.
Right.
And you can take from any of them. And so you pick up a few cantrips, you pick up a couple spell slots, you get the weapon bond ability, so you never have to go unarmed again. Some anti-magic fields and pocket dimensions / planar portals may apply. And then at 15th and 18th level, when you would get more archetype abilities, you decide to stay with the Eldritch Knight. So that means that you can make a cantrip attack as an action and a weapon attack as a bonus action.
Okay.
And then you give them disadvantage on their next saving throw against your spells with the Eldritch Strike ability that you get at 10th level.
All the while, you're getting the ability to use your maneuvers from the Battle Master to add damage and affect combat in certain ways, move enemies around, or et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. And you have the
and you crit on a 1920.
Right.
And you crit on a 19 or 20. Yeah.
I like it.
And so whenever you reach the top, because you took Eldritch Knight at 10th level and you have continued through Eldritch Knight, you're effectively an 11th level Eldritch Knight, because all of the levels from when you take an ability to when you take the next ability count for that archetype.
Okay.
So the levels 3, 4, 5, 6 are Champion. You take Battle Master at 7, so 7, 8, 9 are Battle Master. You take Eldritch Knight at 10. And then because you keep taking Eldritch Knight abilities, 10 through 20 is Eldritch Knight. So you're 11th level Eldritch Knight. So you would have however many spell slots an 11th level Eldritch Knight would have.
No, I like that. Again, it'll take a little bit of accounting for the player and DM just to make sure you know how many battle dice you have, how many spell slots you have. Just because, well, I'm an Eldritch Knight, but I took, the Battle Master School plus the Champion. I don't think it would be too cumbersome. Otherwise, I like it.
Yeah, so in the end, you still have a 20th level fighter. So you still get your 4 attacks per round with extra attack. You still get a D10 plus 20 on your second wind. You still get all of the action surge and indomitable uses. You still get all of the ASIs that a 20th level fighter would get.
Okay.
But instead of being shoehorned into a single course, now you have a custom fighter who lands a critical hit on a 19 to 20, has 7 maneuvers and 6 D8 superiority dice, because the number of maneuvers and dice are specified in the combat superiority feature, which specifies when you reach a certain level, implying character level, like cantrips. Though admittedly, Wizards of the Coast didn't plan for us to be doing this, so I probably didn't feel the need to specify whether it was character level, class level, or archetype level. They get proficiency with 1 type of artisan's tools. They know 3 cantrips and 8 spells, and can cast 4 first level and 3 second level spells a day. They can summon 2 of their personal weapons to their hands as a bonus action, provided that the weapons are still on the same plane of existence. They can make a bonus action weapon attack after casting a cantrip as an action, and they impose disadvantage on a saving throw of a spell you cast before the end of your next turn after you hit a creature with your weapon attack. So you shocking grasp somebody as an action, you use your weapon to attack them as a bonus action. On your next turn, you can use Toll the Dead, and they have disadvantage on the saving throw.
Oh, that's vicious. I love it. That is vicious, but I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And at 20th level, that's 4d12.
That's just a couple D12.
Only a few.
Only a little bit. And so within the fighter, there would definitely be some other archetypes that would be prime candidates for a 1 archetype dip, if you will. So like the samurai for fighting spirit.
Yeah.
Because being able to give yourself advantage and temporary hit points 3 times a day is nice.
That comes in handy. Yeah, it turns out.
Or the Echo Knight, because the Echo Knight is kind of broken and overpowered. Sorry, Matt Mercer.
It happens.
It 100% is.
I'd see this also with wizards as well, because you could dip into the various schools.
Yeah.
Which would be kind of fun.
But wizard is going to be a little bit harder to do, because that first ability that you get just decreases the cost and time to copy spells of that school.
Right.
So, and you don't get very many archetype abilities.
You don't get a lot, but the ones you get are kind of nice. I'm thinking particularly like with the evocation, where you have the shape evocation, and mixing that either with like an illusionist or a
enchanter,
yeah.
Yeah, Arcane Ward.
Oh yeah, Arcane Ward from the Abjurer.
Yeah. I mean, everybody, they all get something at the second level besides just
cheap spells.
Decreasing the cost and time for that school of magic.
I think the druid also with the different circles could be a lot of fun as well.
And then it would allow the DM an opportunity as a world building thing to really hybridize their circles to customize them for what they need for their world.
Yes, I am the druid of everything.
Because, I mean, combining something like a circle of the land with a circle of spores.
Oh.
I mean, I can see places where that would thematically work.
Right.
Circle of the moon and circle of stars.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that would be a very good thematic combination.
Correct. Yeah, no, I like that as an option. And I really like kind of going through with Tasha's. They even made making your own characters at start, the whole pick your background where you can kind of play with the numbers a little bit more. I like that. So I think maybe as the game ages, maybe this becomes an option later. But again, if you're homebrewing, we got it for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've said on many occasions that 5th edition is already sort of a build your own tabletop RPG. So I think this just kind of adds an extra layer into that statement. Right. So I dig it.
5e is the Build-A-Bear workshop of TTRPGs at this point.
Totally is.
Now, James, what you were saying about potentially combining racial abilities.
Right. And I was thinking like a true chimeric character.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because one of the other podcasts I listen to is A Couple of Characters.
Okay.
And recently, because of the race customization rules that came out in Tasha's, Alex over at A Couple of Characters basically just wrote a program and plugged all of the racial abilities in. And so what they do is whenever they create a character on their show, they click a button and it shows what race they physically appear to be.
Okay.
And then it just pulls 4 completely random racial abilities and plops them on.
I like it.
Nice.
So in their most recent one, it was an Asimar body, but they had the turtle shell defense. Okay. They had pack tactics from the kobold. They had poison resistance from the dwarf. And I can't remember what the 4th one was, but I mean, it's completely hodgepodge, random, glorious.
That is
sort of a
awesome.
Mess.
If you're doing a hodgepodge thing like that go, again, this is something you definitely want to talk with your DM for, because again, as you're doing, I've got resistance to poison. You're not a dwarf. No, well, I took it from here. So you want to keep that kind of on mind so everybody's kind of on the same page. So you don't get that character that's like, I took that from dwarf and I also have, natural claw attack from the Tabaxi, and it's like, when did you get a Tabaxi
and
character?
I have the bite from the lizard folk.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and you will unfortunately run into that character on occasion. And so, again, keeping everything accounted for at the beginning, where everybody at the table does know what's going on, is a thing. Don't be that player. It's tempting. Don't do it. Bad. Get the spray bottle and the dice. Both.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much the end of multiclassing, both what is written into the book, some of the traditional options, and the chimeric option that I have been playing with. I haven't run it through a bunch of classes yet, so I don't know how it's going to play with something like a bard or a rogue that have a lot of archetype abilities.
And some really good archetype abilities as well.
Yes.
So it's like, at what point do you choose to switch over if you're playing a rogue?
And I toyed with the idea of doing it like a Gestalt, where basically you hit a level where you're getting an archetype, and then you get to choose from across all of the archetypes which one of those you wanted to pick.
I think that would be too much.
It could get super busted.
Well, I'm glad that I used the fighter for my test subject whenever I was trying to figure this out, because so many of the archetypes rely on a mechanic that is gained at 3rd level.
Right.
Yep.
So the Eldritch Knight, if you did it that way, if you didn't take it at 3rd level, you don't get spell slots and spell casting.
Okay.
The Battle Master, you wouldn't get your superiority dice. The Arcane Archer, you wouldn't get your Arcane Archer stuff. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. Like your arcane shots or whatever. So doing it the way that I've got it works for the fighter. I haven't played with the other classes too much to see if it works for them. It may be completely broken and unusable, but that was the idea that I had. And so I just decided to show it to everybody.
No, I like it. And like I said,
I dig it.
Most classes, you don't get anything super hard hitting with that first archetype level. You get some nice, you get utility, but you don't get anything like way over the top.
Unless you're an assassin rogue.
Yeah.
But
you get advantage if you're attacking before the target goes on your first round. And if you're hidden and you hit, it's an automatic crit.
Right.
That's what you get at 3rd level for an assassin.
Yeah. But then you look at the rest of the assassin rogue and it kind of falls a little flat. So again, I can kind of see balancing out a little bit. And I said it really does feel like the old Blizzard skill trees, which I do like.
Yeah.
So, I think, we probably should explore it a little bit more, but I think it has a lot of potential.
All right.
Now for the fun bit.
Now for the fun part. Mike, as you may know, whenever we have a guest on the show, we like to break out the monster mashup table and roll some dice and create a critter on the fly.
Horrible abomination. Oh, that too.
So if you have yourself some dice.
I do, in fact, have dice on hand. So
you mean a D&D podcaster is going to have dice on hand?
Surprising, I know.
What kind of world are we living in?
Everyone, for some reason, is really shocked when I'm like, yeah, I've got all of these dice here.
Well,
it's a freaking dragon's horde of dice over here is what it really is. So,
well, when we had Lewis on from Dead Channel Studios, he had the 2-pound bag of dice in his desk drawer. He pulls it out and drops it on the desk next to his mic, and it goes tonk,
boom. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I have also bought one of those, but those have been disseminated out to all of the many people who have played with me over the years. So
gotcha.
It's probably about like half a pound of dice at this point.
Was it Pal's Game that used to sell the 1-pound bag? I forget who used to sell them.
I don't.
Neither here nor there. Anyway,
what am I rolling? What kind of dice do I need to grab?
All right. Well, you're going to be rolling all of them.
Oh, okay then.
At once.
Not at once.
Oh, damn.
You mean I don't get to roll a fistful of dice?
I mean, if you really wanted to roll them all at the same time, you could.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll do one at a time. I get a better endorphin hit if I do it one after the other. So
that's right.
We'll do it that way.
I'm not going to drive all the way to Chicago to tell you no. You can't do that.
We'd have to load up the squirt bottle and everything. It would take time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have time for that right now. We have already been recording for an hour, and now no way. We don't have time.
Yeah, no. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So give me a D4. This is locomotion.
D4. For locomotion, that is a 2.
It runs.
I like it.
All caps.
Nice. Creepy.
I like it. This is the first one we've had in a while that hasn't burrowed, so.
Yeah, or swum.
Off to a good,
Oh,
off to
swim,
a
yeah,
good start.
burrowing and swim. Those tend to be the two. So we got some
We don't get
terrestrial.
very many flying ones.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
We had the siren. That was kind of awesome.
That was a lot of fun. That was with Ethan. Anyway, next one is going to be a D6 for what does it eat?
What does it eat?
Sugar
Let's
cubes.
see. That's a 3.
A 3. It eats insects/vermin.
Okay. Kind of getting a coyote feel to this one.
Okay, yeah. Or an anteater.
Yeah.
A fast anteater, which would be terrifying.
I mean, who's determining what a vermin is? I mean, if this is like a drow, so now it's going after with a snifflebin or whatever they are.
Svirfneblin.
Yeah.
Svirfneblin.
I mean, the definition of vermin can be quite wide.
Well, if we're on the elemental plane of Earth, it's mephits.
Yeah. Ooh. A mephit eater. Okay, anyway.
What's next?
A D8 for size.
I had a feeling that was going to be it. 7.
7. It is gargantuan.
Yikes.
Definitely feeling a mephit eater because that's a lot of ants for a gargantuan creature.
It is a lumbering thing for sure.
Okay.
The last gargantuan thing that we had that ran was Terracus.
Yes.
Terracus the shell
coming up
spider.
for the should be coming up soon for March Madness, and
By the time this comes out, March Madness will be done.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, we will know how well Terracus did.
Yes. Okay, so I am seeing a large creature that runs, it eats insects and or vermin. I am thinking the natural scourge of the Formians.
Okay.
Oh
yeah, because then we can get that anteater going on.
Yeah, it's a gargantuan anteater that eats the Formians, yeah.
So it would almost be like a clockwork sort of creature, because it would be from Mechanus.
Would it be from Mechanus?
I mean, if it's going for Formians, because Formians are native to Arcadia, to Arcadia and Mechanus.
Yep.
So, I mean, it could be from Arcadia.
Yeah.
It doesn't really fit in Arcadia.
Let's see what else we can find with this thing. But yeah, I'm definitely getting...
Yeah, I would totally love for this to be like a giant clockwork anteater.
Yes.
On Mechanus.
Another, what was it? The Eventuals? Not the Inevitables.
Inevitables, yeah. The Eventuals.
Those two.
Okay, so next up is going to be another D8 roll.
Another D8 roll, all right.
For social organization.
7 again.
Whoo, buddy. This is a herd. So 26 to 100 individuals.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely seeing these as something that someone has created or designed against the Formian.
Yeah.
This is like a genetic bioweapon type thing, or it could be a construct, perhaps. Maybe that's how they work.
I could definitely see this. This might be like the construction of a rogue pentadrone.
Oh.
A rogue modron.
Okay.
There is, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there is a clockwork construct that is specifically made by a rogue pentadrone modron in Sigil.
Okay.
And it's like this panther type body. I think it's like a large size or something, 3rd edition. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I do distinctly remember that is a thing. Okay. So there is lore that says that rogue modrons will make constructs that are violent, that will go and eat things.
Okay.
Oh, this could be an Acheron.
Yeah.
And it could be like an army breaker.
Oh, nice.
You get a squad of these to break an army.
Nice. I like it.
Anyway, we're getting off topic again.
I have that effect.
We need another roll.
What's the next roll?
Oh, we don't need any help for that.
Yeah, chaos woohoo.
Next up is a D10 roll for native environment.
Native environment. All right. Let's see what we got here. That's a 2.
A 2? Give me another roll and let me know even or odd.
All right. I'll use this other die here. It's a 5, so odd.
Odd. Saltwater aquatic.
That kind of throws a die.
Maybe this thing is actually a gigantic whale that moves in herds and it somehow runs. It's like a swamp.
I'd see more like a crab critter, kind of on the shore.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe like low tide pools.
Yeah.
Massive crab eating other smaller crab. Okay.
It eats seagulls.
Yeah.
I would consider seagulls vermin.
I said, that the definition of vermin can be quite wide.
Yeah. Okay. So saltwater coastal. Next up is going to be a D12 roll for method of defense.
All right. Rolling hot still. That's an 11.
11. It's got spines.
That means that there's something bigger than it, which is terrifying.
Well, I mean, the Tarrasque has spines, so what?
Yeah.
What hunts the Tarrasque?
Yeah.
Probably an astral dreadnought.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would hate to get banished to the donjon of that particular astral dreadnought. You're there on the astral plane, you see this big thing coming up, some Gith Yankee are poking it because they do.
That's how they do. Yeah.
That's what they do.
You get caught in its gaze and it banishes you to its dungeon, and you show up in this 300-foot square stone cube with a Tarrasque.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise! This just keeps getting worse and worse.
I was kind of seeing it the other way. Like there's a Tarrasque that's ravaging the land, and then suddenly a tear opens up out of the astral plane as this huge astral dreadnought that hunts Tarrasques steps in and scoops it up and tears it in half. And you're like, oh, I thought we were already fighting the most dangerous thing, but I was wrong.
The enemy of my enemy
is sometimes still going to kill me.
Yeah,
Yep.
probably.
Usually. There's always a bigger fish.
Yep.
Indeed there is. Okay, next up is going to be a D20 roll for quirks.
Quirks?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. 10.
A 10. Sentient. Capable of understanding language and higher cognitive functions.
Okay.
I like it. This is definitely sounding like a construct from Mechanus.
Yeah.
Though the ocean coastal thing does kind of throw me a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a giant mechanical crab
Okay.
with spines.
It's, what is it? Qualix apparatus? It's the
Oh yeah, Kowalski's apparatus. Yeah.
Whatever the apparatus, the giant crab submarine thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of those that have attained sentience.
I like it.
Attained or been granted / cursed with sentience by some truly mad wizard.
We will leave that to DM's discretion.
Well, I mean, I've seen that movie with the orb at the bottom of the ocean.
Sphere?
Yeah.
Strangely enough. That was actually a really good book. Read that in high school.
Okay, so...
I'm just over here picturing Attack of the Giant Crabs, which is completely different.
Yeah. All right, so now we make it weird.
Now it's weird? Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I need you to give me a D100 roll.
Oh, snap. 11.
11.
Yeah.
Well, I think this cements our construct hypothesis because they are biologically immortal.
Yes.
I mean, so were lobsters. So
Granted.
it's just unfortunate that they happen to taste delicious with butter.
Now I want like a 50-pound lobster.
All right. And because we are absolutely crazy and want to ruin everything, we're going to roll on it again. Because we're like that. 23 is favored by a local deity, and killing it causes its killer to be struck by a 4d6 lightning bolt.
Dude, I love this thing. Holy crap. I still want to make this kind of, like I said, an antiformian, so maybe like it prevents them from pushing too far off a coastal range, so maybe they put them there as like a bulwark to halt their expansion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have normal geographic features upon the discs of Mechanus, right? Upon the gears?
I just figured they were just giant gears.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's actually like landscape on the top of them. It's not just plain blank gears.
That's how I always pictured it. But
there's topography, there's all of that. The undersides are blank.
Blank, okay.
They only build on one side of the disc.
Gotcha.
I mean, I could be wrong on this, but I think that they do actually have topography on the top side of the gears.
I mean, really, the big question is, what is the vermin they are consuming? It needs to be fairly largish because they are large.
They're a little more than large.
They're, yeah.
Yeah.
just a touch.
They are at least 32 feet tall.
Isn't there an aquatic form of goblin? I want to say a sporigan or something. Picture something that kind of looks like the creature from Black Lagoon and has the weird, like, gill fins.
Well, I mean, there's like the Kuatoa.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Or the Sahuagin.
Yeah, the Sahuagin is what I'm thinking of, I think.
The Sahuagin.
Yeah, the Sahuagin, that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe they are the vermin.
Ones that worship the shark god?
Yeah, because again, that definition of vermin, especially if they're constructed, then vermin's whatever
they're programmed to see as vermin.
Whatever their creator, thinks is vermin.
And if they're favored by a god, that
then definitely
suggests that they are created by this god.
Right.
You know, as a tool for whatever pettiness they going to get into because the gods.
Right. So these could almost be on a water plane, on the plane of water.
Yeah, maybe they border the plane of water. What is the plane of the maps? Like on the edge of like
the plane of ooze.
Yeah, the swamp of oblivion.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe they are some deity that lives in the plane of water is holding back whatever vermin are trying to invade from the swamp of oblivion.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Definitely, this would go well with the damage. It would be, obviously a tempest deity of some sort would make a lot of sense as well.
Again, they could be like really big crabs, right? So
yeah. I mean, the crab shape works perfect for them.
Thinking like on Isgard, the Temple of the Moon.
Yeah.
These could be the guardians that keep people from going to the Temple of the Moon that the moon goddess doesn't want to come over.
I could see that. They're naturally covered in spikes. Maybe the spikes aren't defensive since they're created. Maybe they use those as kind of like, Vlad impaled his enemies on the front lawn to kind of stuck. So like if something's kind of, they take the leaders and they impale
like a cadaver collector.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be great. Yeah, I like it.
These things are monsters for sure.
They're terrifying.
They're not fluffies.
Or perhaps they could be, the next to last layer of Carcerai, that shallow ocean?
Ooh, that would be perfect.
So they would be the constructs of Oceanus, of the Titan Oceanus.
That would work.
Because he's just super salty about the fact that Poseidon has taken over his job and banished him to the netherworld.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, I mean, talk about petty. That's the Titans definitely fall into that as well.
Yeah.
So.
And especially since, according to Planescape lore, that's literally what he does. He sits in his half-sunken temple on this plane of Carcerai, and he just
broods,
bitches nonstop about Poseidon, about this little upstart nephew of his that kicked him out and took his job. Okay, so let's recap. Our critter runs. It eats insects and vermin, which in a Carcerai context, it can be demons that are coming through, going to the blood war. It could be petitioners that are being punished because that's something that happens there. There's a bunch of additional things that we could go into with that one. It is gargantuan in size. Its social organization is a herd, so 26 to 100 individuals.
There are a lot of them.
There are a lot of them. Their habitat is saltwater coastal. They have spines. They are sentient. They are biologically immortal. And if you kill them, the god that they are the favored critter of is going to smack you with a 4d6 lightning bolt.
I like it.
So what do we call it?
I have an option. I don't know if you guys want to run with this or not, but there's a great one already out there. I think we should call it Cancer.
Okay. I kind of like it because we did decide to double down on that crab iconography.
Right.
So yeah, I can see that. Mike, do you have any ideas?
So, yeah, I had to look up the name of this because I couldn't remember. But since we were referencing some Greek mythology in Planescape, there was a giant crab, Karkinos, that came to the aid of the Hydra as Heracles fought it.
That's also a great option.
Yeah,
I like Karkinos as well. So yeah, no.
But Cancer is also, I guess, actually, it looks like from what I'm seeing here, Cancer probably, or Karkinos, I don't know. Maybe the words have some etymological
overlap,
ties to each other. Yeah.
I think Cancer is Latin, is what the Romans called it. But yeah, no, I like Karkinos as well. So that fits better. And you wouldn't have just the hard C word for a lot of people. So that would avoid some confusion.
True.
So I think Karkinos fits better.
Okay. Excellent.
I like it.
Nice. Go team.
So the other thing that we like to do with our guests is asking them to give a shout out for someone else in the community that they feel deserves more attention than they're getting, or someone that inspires them or whose work they really appreciate.
Oh gosh. I mean, honestly, there are so many people I could shout out in the community. I think if we're going for people who are maybe underrepresented or deserve more love, I'd actually like to shout out My Sound Delve, run by a guy who I've had on the show a couple of times, Christian. He's a super great guy, and he has an app that is made specifically for, it's like player focused, and it is sound effects for player characters. You can kind of create a character sheet and create sound effects for your characters.
Nice.
It's super neat. Yeah, so
really
like
fun.
attacks and spells and hits and misses and all kinds of like monster effects and stuff as well. Like it's really great.
Yeah, I actually recently got to play a Starfinder game with him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he had Hannah on for one of those as well. Great.
Yeah, and we're actually going to be having him on as a guest here in a couple of weeks.
Huzzah.
Okay, well, let him know that I shouted him out.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's great.
Yeah, he's good people, yeah.
For sure.
All right, so now here
I'm
comes
glad that worked out like that.
Yeah, great. So here's the part where you get to plug you. So tell us where we can find you and your stuff. I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but go ahead and put it again. We'll bookend.
for sure. Yeah, I guess I got the cart before the horse a little bit earlier, but that's fine. Like I mentioned earlier, my show is 19 Hits the Dragon, or my podcast, I should say. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts at 19 Hits the Dragon, pretty much everywhere. You can find me on Twitter. I run the Twitter account. The show is edited by my spouse, Hannah. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll get a lot of really great interactions between me and my spouse, having fun and being big nerds about stuff. So follow me there. And yeah, you can find all the links on my link tree, link.tree/19 Hits the Dragon. I think I'll send the links over to you guys, can put it in the episode description.
We'll put them in the show
probably
notes.
not correct. But yeah, that's where you find me. And again, the show is, kind of like what these guys have here at Undercommon Taste. I chat with other folks from the tabletop RPG community, dissect certain aspects of gaming and being nerds, and offer advice to GMs and players, designers, and any aspect of the tabletop RPG community that we feel like talking about or geeking out about.
Awesome.
It's a good time.
So, Mike, thank you so very much for joining us tonight on Undercommon Taste. It's been great having you here. We look forward to joining you again for your episode, which is going to be coming out this coming Saturday.
Right. This has been a ton of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a blast recording with you guys today, and I'm looking forward to having you over on our show real soon. It's going to be a good time. It's already been a great time. So
we're going to go through all of the weird, crazy multi-class possibilities that we could come up with.
Yeah, listeners, if you had a good time with us speculating about multi-class options, you can listen in on my show to hear about the wild things that you can do with multi-classing. So.
And I'm too far away for anybody to throw dice at me, so I get to have a lot of fun.
That's what you think.
Open my, hey, what's that through the window? Ow!
No, I'm going to send you a package that's going to be spring-loaded with just a bunch of dice, so when you open it up, it just launches at you.
That'd be awesome.
And there's a note at the bottom that lets you know it's from me.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, free dice.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas, please send us an email, undercommontaste@gmail.com, or send us a direct message through our Twitter account at UCT Homebrew. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch at Undercommon Taste. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/Undercommon Taste. All of our write-ups go up on our Patreon account. I'm trying to get some more patron exclusive content out. So if you enjoy the stuff that we're putting out for free, please consider becoming a patron, getting access to all of our patron exclusive content as well, and helping support the show financially. We are also on Discord. You can join our Discord through the link in our show notes.
You can find our podcast wherever you find podcasts. So if this is your first time, again, just whatever your favorite podcatcher is, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify. So always, if you can, please give us a rating and review. This helps increase our visibility and lets us know what you want to hear more of.
So thanks once more for listening. Stay safe, and we will see you all again next week.
Happy gaming.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Undercommon Taste. You can find links to all of our social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, as well as our Patreon and Discord channel in the show notes. Our theme song is Massacre Anne, written and performed by Mary Crowell and used with permission. You can find more of her work at marycrowell.bandcamp.com or on Patreon at patreon.com/Dr. Mary C. Crowell. Our logo was illustrated by David Sutherland. You can find him on Instagram at willex_73 or on DeviantArt at deviantart.com/David Sutherland. Thanks again for listening. Stay safe. We'll see you again next week.